Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are talking about, are you sure you're working? So this is actually part 2 of yesterday's video where we were talking about how MarketWatch is reporting on scams in the gig economy. So what we are going to be doing here is we're going to go over the second story in that article. This one should be good. I already see that's talking about Doordash. So with that said, let's get started. For 3 years, Samir Sharma had been performing DoorDash delivery smoothly, but in 2021 he began to notice a drop in the earnings he was receiving, which didn't seem to match the number of hours he was working. As more time passed, DoorDash deposits into his bank account completely stopped. While the drop in earnings is relatively normal for summer slowdowns and the way the economy's been shifting overall, but the fact that the deposits stopped happening entirely, that's strange. My wife asked, "Are you sure you're working?" Sharma told MarketWatch last August he contacted DoorDash support and waited for someone to do something about his complaints, but continued to do deliveries in the San Francisco Bay Area for a couple more months. It was his only source of income, and he thought it would be straightened out and he would eventually be paid. If I had $1 for every time that I've seen people put their faith into any of these gig companies that do the right thing and watch it get destroyed, I would be in Puerto Rico not even thinking about anything because I'd be that damn rich. You don't trust DoorDash to just get back to you. The amount of times I've heard people say that, oh, DoorDash said they get back to me, and they chose not to. They are failures. Every single one of those support agents are failures. But his earnings never started flowing again to his bank account. Money got so tight that Sharma said he, his wife, and their 3 kids had to move in with his in-laws because they were evicted from their apartment. At one point, there were as many as 15 people living in that house, he said. 15 people in one house. I can't live with one other person and not get stressed out. 15 people? Oh, Jesus. Although I will say it is kind of his fault that he wasn't following up on this. Like, he should be on it. His wife, Rajni Sharma, said the financial situation for their family became precarious. You don't say. I was using all the stimulus money, she said, adding that eventually she was transferring money from our savings account for my daughters just to survive. Good on them for having those savings accounts. In the event that they didn't have that, they would be financially wrecked at this point. It's amazing how many families can't even afford a $1,000 emergency, let alone losing an income. Sharma eventually obtained a job where he is considered an employee last year, but once he received his 1099 tax form from DoorDash at the end of January, he and his wife realized that the math didn't add up. There was a $9,000 difference between what DoorDash reported and what Sharma's total earnings for the last year, nearly $23,000, and what was actually deposited into their bank account. The Sharmas shared their bank statements from last year with MarketWatch. Okay, 2 things on this. Number 1, I've actually experienced that where DoorDash actually withdrew money from my account because I was fighting with a support agent, and they are effectively the most useless people in the world, and they tried to tax me more than what I was actually paid. Screw them. That's number 1. And number 2, a $9,000 difference. I guarantee you there are people that didn't speak up about this and didn't know how to speak up about this. And because of that, DoorDash is getting away with levels of tax evasion that are astoundingly too high. But of course, the IRS won't report on that. They're criminals. That's just what they do. As he struggled for months to find out why he wasn't seeing his earnings in his bank account, Sharma said he contacted DoorDash support more than a dozen times from August through October 2021. He said he was promised someone would get back to him, but his issues was not prioritized by the company until several months later after MarketWatch contacted DoorDash. A DoorDash spokesperson acknowledged that the investigation and resolution process can sometimes be lengthy. Okay, first of all, good on Sharma for keeping on DoorDash on the subject. That's number 1. And number 2, that is the most BS excuse that DoorDash can give.
Excuses sound best to the person that's making them up.
The amount of times I heard Dasher Support say that, and they're just lying, that's just what they do. They're criminals, all of them. They probably put this on the back burner, and until MarketWatch asked about it, no one actually was going to do anything because they're ineffective and useless. What Sharma says he thinks happened is that someone opened a debit card in his name and diverted his earnings to that card. The DasherDirect debit card, issued by DoorDash partner Payfare Incorporated, enables delivery workers to be paid daily instead of weekly. Sharma said he did not apply for the card and had no idea he had such an account. So when he was asked to check the app, he said he was surprised to see the card show up in his account.
Now story getting interesting.
In case you don't know about the DasherDirect card, I actually made a video talking all about it. I'll leave it in the description. Feel free to check it out. But my question is, don't you need to actually have personal information to actually open that account? First, you need to have access to the DoorDash account in question. Then you need to have access to whatever information you need to actually open up the account. So either DoorDash pulled something shady, or maybe he's got like some kind of identity theft issue, and that goes beyond just DoorDash. The spokesman told MarketWatch that the person who opened up the Payfare account had to have access to Sharma's phone and email because two-factor authentication had been activated. The head of customer support at Payfare said she investigated the matter and determined whomever had the debit card nearly spent all of the thousands of dollars Sharma was missing. There was only $1.08 on the card. So they needed to have a phone number and an email, both of which are fairly easy to figure out. And not to mention, if he's using a DasherDirect card, some of the transactions that would have to be there, some of them could have been gas, which means he was earning 2% cash back on gas, which means this guy lost more than $9,000 just because of the DasherDirect card. Now it's proven that the DasherDirect card is dangerous to have available. After conversations with DoorDash, Payfare, and MarketWatch, Sharma said he suspected that somebody in his household probably intercepted the physical debit card that Payfare said was mailed to him with Sharma's permission. Payfare shared the details of the debit card transactions with him and MarketWatch. Transactions occurred in the same geographic area where he and his family live and totaled more than $9,000. Payfare determined there was nothing to refund Sharma. So this guy lost over $9,000 because somebody ended up taking everything from him. MarketWatch can't do as much because they're not exactly a PI company. They're just a finance website for the most part. And of course, the company Payfare is proven to scam drivers because they allowed this to happen. It's not fair for anyone to be treated this way, especially when you work hard, he said in May. Now I have to figure out who did it. That's the hard part. One thing he does know, I'm done with gig work. I have my kids to think about. You know, honestly, getting screwed over by a company like that, I understand that someone can feel that I've been working so hard for so long and then they lose money because of it. But that's what happens when you put too much dependence on these scumbag companies. They'll screw you in the end. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. A few months of work and you ended up losing how much money? You lost over $9,000. Honestly, if I found out I wasn't getting paid, I would have stopped immediately. You're not paying me for the work I'm doing, I'm not working. That's why you have movements like no tip, no trip, decline now. Para, I guess you can call an actual movement, but they're more like a company. Why would you work for months on end and not get paid what you're owed? It's one thing if you see a decline in pay, like seeing people tip less and order less is relatively normal, especially in these hard times. But now DoorDash is making it worse by making it so much easier for us to get scammed with their own program. But this is yet again another reminder. The gig economy is an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal, not the goal. Because let's be honest, why would you work for free? Unless the work you are doing is going to produce income that's independent of your activity, you should not be working for free under any circumstances. And that's why you don't trust DoorDash ever. But quite honestly, this goes for UberEats, Grubhub, or any of the gig apps. And that's why multi-apping is such a big thing too. If you were making money only on DoorDash and you lost that entire income stream, you lost 100% of your income. If you're working on multiple apps and DoorDash was 50% of your income, income, you lost half your money. And I'm saying 50% because out of all the gig apps, they are the one with the most orders in general. Whether they're quality orders or not, they are producing the most. This guy said it pretty well. He has a family to think about. It's not about him. It's about taking care of his family. And taking care of yourself and your family is far more important than any gig ever. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!